welcome back to another Formable Nations video. Today I'm going to be looking at the Polynesian Empire, which is formable as of the latest La Resistance DLC. Now this is kind of an old series on this channel, but this formable nation isn't going to take me very long. It's just sort of interesting to talk about because it adds in a small mechanic with it, which we're going to do today. Small bit of information you're probably going to need to know. I'd only recommend doing this on 1.9.2, which I've had to go to the beta of in this current version. 1.9.1 has an issue which has now been patched where Japan seems to release the Mariana Trench, like the islands of the Marianas, for no reason. So avoiding that, all you need to do is be on 1.9.2. Okay, let's go straight into it. So to form Polynesia, we're going to be playing on Iron Man and historical AI to keep things consistent. So for those who haven't seen some of the earlier videos on my channel, I sort of slowly worked my way through some of the formable nations and stuck them all in a playlist. And as I sort of work through, I kind of stick to sort of two key rules, which is don't get into a war with a major faction, like the Allies or the Comintern or the Axis, etc, etc, and try to do it sort of entirely self-contained within your own confines as easily as possible. Now, as for forming Polynesia, that's going to be rather easy indeed. I mean, to be honest, we don't even need to go to war, which is why this is hopefully going to be a shorter video, but it's just to show you that it's possible. So, let's go into it. Hello, Michael. Our first focus is going to be the first Labour government, which gives us some things that I don't know because I don't really play New Zealand, but let's go. So as we can see here, our goal is to unite Polynesia, which is rather peculiarly projected as Arabia and sort of North Africa. But GFX aside, we need to have the islands of Hawaii, oh good lord, how do you pronounce that? Aotearoa, moving on, Tahiti and Samoa under our control. And that gives us lots of lovely cores and a lovely new name, Simples. So the key point is that these islands are owned by Britain, France, the United States, I think Australia, and lastly Japan. Japan being the most problematic one as they own the Marianas. So the first problem we have is that sadly we are a puppet of Britain, which is the first thing we're going to need to fix by doing the Statute of Westminster so we can become independent. If you've come for a super action intense game, you've definitely come to the wrong place. This is not this video at all. This is going to be pretty mellow. With the Statute of Westminster done, you might think we're going to go down independent New Zealand, but we're actually going to go into the darkness to get some daily fascism support. This is to help us with joining Japan, the key point being the daily autonomy it gives us every day. Okay, with the progression towards autonomy done, we now need to focus on the second thing, which is how we're going to do the formable nation. Well, when they added the new formable nation, they actually changed the New Zealand focus tree to give Maori volunteers a little bit of decisions. This allows us to request control of the islands in the Pacific that we need to form the nation. I think you can already see where this goes, in that we're literally just going to ask to form the formable nation. So, we just have to work our way from here to Maori volunteers. I've only just noticed, but there's a really straight line heading straight through here. I assume this is the international date line. Do you see it? It's perfectly straight. I never realised this was here until just now. It's important when doing this not to get a demagogue here, Arthur Nelson Field, because that will raise the Legion far too quickly for this run. We've come to the important impasse between Amend the Maori Affairs Act and the Tribunal. Before, I always used to get the Maori Affairs Act for the building slots, but at this point I think you should always go down here because requesting the islands can give you so much more now. Okay, and with that, two things have completed at the same time. We got Maori volunteers, which means we have unlocked some decisions, and we can raise our autonomy to freedom. So as you can see here, we now have under our Unite Polynesia decisions, request control of the Pacific Islands. Our first request goes to France. I will say this, but I may be wrong. I have never seen them say no. In the entire time I've played, they've never denied me. So let's see if today is the first. France accepts, which gives me Tahiti and Nendo. Next we ask the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom accepts, which gives us the Gilbert Islands, Ellis Islands and Nauru. And surprisingly, Australia accepts, which gives us the Solomon Islands, over here. So as you can see, there's a lot more purple on the map, which is good, and that leaves us only 2 more countries we need to ask the islands from, those being Japan and America. So the remainder of the strategy is essentially waiting until the United States joins the Allies, which is gonna take some time, to be honest. I was looking at the advisors here, and some of them have some pretty standard requirements. Fred Freeman, has completed the Learfair and is not a supervised state, but if you do want to be a democratic reformer, make sure you're not Portugal. Okay, so you join me in the midst of the start of World War II, and this is where the whole becoming autonomous and independent is helpful. The key point here is we don't want to join the war against the Axis. We're going to remain entirely neutral and just let whatever happens, happen. Meanwhile, we need to continue waiting for the United States to join the Allies. Fun, fun. Update, something has actually happened. Michael Joseph Savage is dead. Oh, a fish. Oh, I missed it. Now World War II is fully underway, I think it's about time we get that demagogue we needed from earlier. Okay, so you join me in 1941. It's been quite some time to get here, but the United States finally joined the United Kingdom because Japan went after the Dutch East Indies, which means we now can request control of the Pacific Islands. Oh god, it took so long to get here. And the United States accepts, which gives us the Johnston Atoll, the Midway Island, Wake Island, Guam, the Phoenix Island and the Line Islands. Oh, and not to mention Hawaii, which is on the wrong line. That's quite a few islands. Look at all of these building slots. Okay, so the next thing to do is join Japan, which means we need to get over 50%. And then once we've done that, using discredit government, once we're a little bit higher, we can hold the national referendum and move on to do the focus, befriend Japan. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so let's discredit the government for an extra negative 10% democracy. And that allows us to hold the national referendum. If the people want it, we'll hold the referendum. And there we have the Kiwi Empire. So, can we join Japan directly? Japan has accepted our request to join, we stand together. And do we have the option to? Yes, we do. Request control of Pacific Islands. Japan accepts, which means we become controller of the Marshall Islands, Iwo Jima, Saipan, Palau, the Marcus Islands and the Caroline Islands. Which means, finally I can say that we can unite Polynesia. It is done, the Polynesian Empire with a little turtle to boot. Polynesia has been united. With all of the islands complete and our long history, we can say this word which I cannot pronounce together. And there we go. That is Polynesia. Overall, I'd have to say this is completely not worth it. It took me 2.5 hours. It was extremely slow, but it is very, very easy for anybody to do. Although you did just watch me do it, so I don't know why you'd need to do it. Essentially, I've done it for you. So for those of you who don't want to do that, you can actually go into the custom game settings and make it so that the Oceania colonization status has the Polynesia Empire already released. This means if you were to click on, let's say, New Zealand, you can play as Polynesia from the very start of the game. Now, I understand this makes it impossible to do achievements in Iron Man, but honestly, it's just not worth doing anything else. If you do want to play as Polynesia, I honestly think just starting in 1936 as Polynesia is the best thing you can do. It's the most fun. Please take my advice and do that. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. We did form the Formable Nation. The mission is done. I'm never going to do it again. I'm going to bed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.